Hi everyone! Today we're here talking a little bit about circumference. Now we've talked about circumference before and we're going to do a little bit of practice just like we did before. And I have just used, in my house, I have lots of items and we've talked about the shape that we are looking for before. So we want something that has a round top and a round bottom. And if you see that, it's called a cylinder, and it's going to give you a round shape. And we can measure circumference. Remember, circumference that we talked about a few weeks ago is the distance around an object. So if you have something that's round like this, and we measure all the way around it, that measurement, that number, is its circumference. It tells us how big around it is. So we're going to practice with some items that I had in my house. You can practice with items that you have in your house. Some of things like this, like a toilet paper roll or maybe a can of soda or a can of soup. But I would like for you, if you can, to maybe get some string or yarn. I have a piece of yarn today, but if you have string or yarn or even your arms, you can go outside and find a couple trees and see if you can figure out the circumference or how big around those trees are. So let's practice. I'm going to start with my jar of honey right here. And if I take my yarn and I'm going to go all the way around just like this. And I can measure from one end to the other, and I can tell that this length right here is how far around this jar is. Pretty neat. So I can see that this jar is that length around the jar. Now, if I look at my toilet paper roll, I want to decide, is the toilet paper roll going to be bigger around or smaller than my jar? So let's see what we can find out. Now, when we look at that, I'm going to hold it at this point and say, right here is the distance around my toilet paper roll. It is not as far as my jar, so my toilet paper roll has a smaller circumference. And then my last one, I have this lotion, and it comes in a nice round container. And I'm going to wrap my yarn all the way around it, and I'm going to see how big around this lotion container is. Look how long this string is. It almost doesn't even fit on my screen. It's very big when you look at its circumference. So here's my challenge for you. Find a couple things either in your house, or if you can, go outside and maybe find a couple trees that have nice trunks that are round, like we talked about in small group today. We talked about the round trunks and how they get bigger and bigger and bigger as the trees get older. So you can measure the circumference or the distance around a tree trunk, just like scientists would. And you can tell which trees are younger or older by how big around. So the bigger trees are going to be older trees. Pretty fancy. So you can be a scientist and to figure out how big your trees are. I can't wait to see what all you find.